Michella Chester here with NCAA Digital. I am joined by Evan Marinofsky today. He is our D1 women's ice hockey beat reporter. Evan, you built a bracket projection 2 months away from selections. I know this is not an easy thing to do. I've done it, but for those who don't know, how did you put this together?
Yeah, Michella, it was a little bit easier for me. I didn't have to do 64 teams. I only had to do 11, which is an increase from last year and previous years when it was only 8, which is awesome, right? More matchups to predict, and we'll get into those later in this video. So that was the first thing. The other thing was avoiding first round conference matchups. That's always fun, but with women's, there's a loophole. You can do 4 of 6 final spots if they're in the same conference, and in my case, this was the case. 4 ECAC teams were in those final 6 spots, which makes it very fun, right? All those interconference games. There's only one interconference matchup in that first round, but again, it all makes sense with the rules. And then the third and final one was making sure that they're near each other, or at least try to be. So there's fans in the stands, and these places are rocking. And I have no doubt that in my bracket, there will be some pretty crazy atmosphere. So yes, excited to see it go from 8 teams to 11.
Absolutely. So let's go through the top four seeds. These are obviously very important. How did you pick them and rank them? What are your top four teams?
Yeah, so Michaela, I didn't think that these top 4 were too controversial. I think these are pretty almost set in stone in a sense. Number one's Wisconsin. They're the best team in the nation. They have a lot of the top point getters in the nation. It's one of those teams, they're going for a three-peat now. So I have them at number one. Number two is Ohio State. They have the best defenseman in the league with Sophie Jack. She's been unbelievable this year. And just that whole offense there is just incredible. They're at number two. Number three, I have Northeastern. They're actually the different of the 4 because they are just amazing at defending. They have the best goalie in the nation, Aaron Frankel. That to me was an easy pick at number 3. And number 4 is Minnesota. They currently rank second in the nation in goals for at the time of recording. They're another just offensive powerhouse. So it's really 3 offensive powerhouses and 1 extremely good defensive team. And honestly, Michaela, if I had to see these 4 teams play forever, I would love it because there's just so many strengths going at each other. So those are my top 4 teams.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this entire bracket. What are some of the most intriguing matchups in this hypothetical bracket that you could see in the first round and beyond?
Well, Michaela, hypothetically, I think this is the real bracket. I mean, I basically predicted the entire thing correct. But the first matchup I'm looking at is Minnesota Duluth and Colgate. They played each other last year in last year's tournament. Minnesota Duluth came out with a 1-0 win in overtime. My guess is it'll be very different this year. They're 2 offensive powerhouses, kind of like the top 4 teams, but they are great offensively in their own right. I can't see it being a 1-0 game, but what I can see is it being a very exciting game and one that I think a lot of college hockey fans would want to see. The other one would be the Northeastern Regional, because the Northeastern Regional, if you look, all those teams are near each other. And you have the interconference matchup to start, which is okay. It's by the rules. And then you go to Northeastern, which would be a tough matchup. But again, Yale is about 2 hours from Northeastern, so I think Yale fans are dedicated enough to show up in droves. And then Harvard's right there. So to me, those are the 2 matchups, the Colgate Duluth and then the Northeastern Regional that I think college hockey fans would really want to see. And man, that electric atmosphere at Northeastern would be something to take in. That is for sure.
Absolutely, and this is always so much fun. Excited to see the real bracket might look a little bit like yours, Evan, but thank you so much for joining me and breaking this down.